I firmly believe that everyone should be a server at a restaurant at least once in their
Mm,
life, or own a
yes.
motorcycle, and then you'll respect motorcyclists and how
Yeah.
hard serving is. I think everyone should make one Bitcoin on-chain Bitcoin transaction, whether it's custodying it themselves or whatever that may be. Me sending it to Brandon privately. Hey, I like Brandon's shirt. Let me send him some sats. He'll give me a shirt. Transacting in it. I think once they see how it works, with all the confirmations and all that stuff, then a light bulb moment kind of goes off and says, holy shit, I'd have to wait 3 days for Western Union or my bank or, this wire transfer. This happened in, relatively 40 minutes, give or take. And it doesn't have to be, we have the Lightning Network. We have other solutions that make it more like a credit card now. But just seeing the base layer, I mean, that could be used for nation states to transfer money. And I think once people understand that, I think we're small fish, retail use, oh, here's my Etsy store. Give me some sats. Okay. Yeah. That's really going to move the needle. No. It's when Russia and China are trading, oil and Bitcoin and stuff like that. I think that's going to be the big needle mover. And also just the fact that, again, it's finite and people can't really grasp that. Even gold bugs. And I don't know if you follow Sonny Poe. He's got the
Yeah.
picture of Leonardo DiCaprio in the
Yeah. Yeah.
$100 bill.
He's so good.
So, he's a good dude.
Yep.
And he cracks me up because he's like, gold, people like gold because it can't be verified. They can't actually determine how much is out there. That's why they like it. Because with Bitcoin, it's like, shit, I can see exactly down to the sat, how much
Oh
is in this
man.
wallet and all that stuff. So I just think that's funny. But I think for transparency's sake, whenever you look at these science fiction movies and you have this wise council of all these,
Hmm.
elders that sit on this council, do you think they're using fiat money? Like, no,
Right.
humans are going to get to an agreement where it's like, hey, we're stupid monkeys going to war. We need to find something better for the sake of humanity. And until there's another threat, and I know I'm going all over the place here, but until there's a threat outside of humanity, let's just pretend it's an alien, okay?
Yep.
Then humans will become more, hey, we're on the same team
Galvanized.
rather
Yeah.
than, all that other stuff. And I'm not trying to get too philosophical, but I think if you really look, 100,000 years into the future, what are we going to use? Dollars with old guys' faces printed on them?
Right.
That's paper? Of course not. It doesn't make any sense.
It goes back to like these things are so I don't want to say common sense, but they're just such principled like thinking, and would you just zoom out a little bit, and that's again like the ravages of fiat where you don't have time. Like the average person's on the hamster wheel, and it's sad because you
100%.
talk to some people, and I'm sure you've seen it over the years where people are like, I get it, like I get what you're saying, but like I'm trapped, and like they don't say I'm on a hamster wheel, but they're like, what do I do? Like I get homeschooling is amazing, or I get Bitcoin's the thing, but like I literally can't live in that world because I'm trapped in this other world and I'm on the hamster wheel. And that's the ravages of fiat, whether it's war or you're on the hamster wheel and you can't make decisions that are the best decisions for you and your family because you're on that hamster wheel trying to get more fiat because all your expenses are going up every day in and day out. It's the wildest thing.
Dude, I'll give you a perfect example, Brandon. This happened to me literally yesterday. So I was getting my car windows tinted. Okay, I got a new
mhm,
car. My other car got T-boned. I was telling you, so I had to
yep.
get a new car. I get this new car, I'm getting the windows tinted. So it's an all day process. And my wife, she was busy with the kids, my friends working, whatever. I didn't want to call an Uber. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the library while my windows are getting tinted. I'm going to work. And then I went to go get an Uber, and the Uber to go like, not that far, maybe 4 or 5 miles was like 60, $70.
Oh
Maybe there wasn't.
jeez.
Yeah, it was something crazy. I'm like, this isn't right. So I took the bus. I took public transportation for the
That's
first time here in a
amazing.
long time. And when you look at just the different rungs of society, dude, do you realize
Wild.
how spoiled a lot of people are when you take public transportation? I haven't done it in years,
Mhm.
and you hear what these people are talking about. They're talking about like, yeah, meditation, and I can will these things into existence, and they're broke, completely broke. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying
Yeah.
the reality of it. They're completely broke, and they're having all these big philosophical conversations, and you realize like, dude, you have more than you think you do. Put a little bit of it into Bitcoin. Just save. Think 10, 20, 30 years from now. The problem is when you're in that fiat system, to your point, you feel like you can't breathe. You're like, shit, I got to take the bus. I'm going to be late for work. I'm living
Mhm.
paycheck to paycheck, hour by hour. Your time frame is just compressed so much more when you're living, day to day. You can't even think in weeks, let alone months, let alone years, let alone decades. So I think the people that do have, a little bit more leeway, they should be saving in Bitcoin. But the irony is that life is expensive when you're poor, especially in this country. And they're the people that probably need Bitcoin the most. It's the life raft.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that wrote Bitcoin for Black America? Was that Zay? I can't remember his name. Um,
Jackson was that?
yeah,
Isaiah
Isaiah
Jackson, I
Jackson,
think.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I give that to all like
Yes.
minorities that ask me about Bitcoin. I just give them that book, because it's like when you're in that lower rung of society, whether you're white, black, green, purple, doesn't matter.
Yep.
You're just kind of like you're thinking hour to hour. Your time preference is so much higher.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier too. And speaking of Bitcoin content, like even the Pierre thing, it was funny. I don't know if it was Nolan Bowerly or somebody I was listening to years ago, and they were just like, yeah, like all Bitcoin content stands the test of time. Like you can go back to a Bitcoiner, 14 years ago, ironically with Pierre, like we were talking about, or
Yeah.
Isaiah's book or whatever, and it's going to be right. Like 20 years from now, it'll be right, and 50 years from now, it'll be right. And like you can't do that with any of the fiat garbage, like the Wall Street Journal or Paul Krugman's, ridiculous, editorials he puts out or whatever the hell he does all the time for 25 years. The internet's going to go away. It's just like the fax machine, all this stuff. So you have the fiat side, which is constantly wrong. It's constantly projecting. It's political currency. So it just has to be political talk trying to prop all these things up. And then you have Bitcoiners who are just like, yeah, here's the signal from all the noise and it's going to be right. So quick side note that I was just thinking of, and you just made me think of that again. The 1 second decision, the thing, and again, we've been circling this about like the 3%, and what people, what the 97% or 99% aren't understanding and don't get is money is a decision. So in saying all that, money is just a psychological engine. And I think what's frustrating for a lot of us is that you could just make a decision. A couple percent of people could just say, I'm done with the dollar. It's worth nothing. And I'm switching to this thing that doesn't steal from me. I'm switching to Bitcoin. And I think that's what's so hard. And that's why like us living in these two worlds is very difficult, because we look at everyone else. Once you get it, you see the wizard behind the curtain. You're like, oh, like, why don't you just make this decision and come here? And then things would just start rapidly changing overnight across the world as a couple percent of people just make that decision. And that's that idealistic versus pragmatic, where it's like, yeah, that's just not how life works though. And so
why are most people obese? Why doesn't everyone have a 6-pack abs? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just human nature, bro. There's these sin industries that just humans are, alcohol, gambling, pornography, whatever it may be, and no one's perfect. Like, dude, I'll play soccer. I'll go have a couple beers. I'm not Jesus Christ. I'm just saying that we're programmed to gravitate towards these things that we know that aren't good for us. It's like, hey, maybe I shouldn't get the Krispy Kreme donut, but it tastes good. So it's a lot of it comes from discipline, but discipline is not easy, man.
Goes so far.
Yeah, I also noticed, dude, when I go to Europe, dude, I know this is kind of a meme at this point, but I've known this my whole life. Dude, I can eat like a pig. I'm talking all the stuff that you're not supposed to eat. Red meat. In Serbia, we have this thing called kajmak. It's basically the cream of the milk. It's a spreadable butter, if you will.
Yep.
Dude, melting on top of, sausages and all this. It's the best food in the world. And it's everything you're not supposed to eat. And I feel great. I go to the bathroom regularly. I'm playing soccer. I feel great. And then I come back here. Everything just sticks to you, dude. It's all just like preservatives. It sticks to you. And I think that's a symptom. Didn't Safety, or he didn't write it, but he was in conjunction with someone with Fiat Food.
House.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, man. I just feel like a lot of stuff, especially in I don't want to call it late stage capitalism or late stage empire, where you have to squeeze out a profit from everything to where, the food doesn't even taste like food. You know what I mean? It just tastes like something that was kind of just literally scientifically thrown together to taste good. And it's all engineered,
It's insane. Do you think we will have, transitioning just a little bit, do you think we'll have, super cycles at some point with Bitcoin, or do you think we'll have the 4-year cycle always? Like when you look at the ups and downs of the market, and I think, again, like someone looks at log chart, it's just up and to the right because it's network effect, right? So it's very deceiving, but that linear price chart, do you think we're going to have these cycles going forward really as far as the eye can see?
Yeah, so in our Bitcoin club here in Cleveland, we have a bunch of members. It's a really good club. He's actually really big on Twitter. I just don't want to put words in his mouth, so I'm not going to say who it is. He's of the 4-year cycle is done. Okay, that's his mentality. I am still a 4-year cycle guy, just because I was in the camp of like 2021. We're going to see $100,000 Bitcoin. Then you had China mining ban. You had a bunch of stuff, right? FTX, all that stuff, and we went down to basically 16K. I have tweets. I ironically deleted my Twitter just because I spend too much time on it. I get into petty arguments with
Oh man.
egg avatars. You know what I mean? Because I'm an idiot. So anyway, I'm just like, screw this. I'm done. So I deleted my Twitter, and I probably shouldn't have done that, but I could probably still recover. It's been less than 30 days. But anyway, my point is, since I have tweets from 2020 that just say, dude, it's going to be summer of 2025. We're going to see basically Q2, Q3, Q4 of 2025. And these tweets are 4 or 5 years old, saying that we're going to see, again, all-time highs. But then we had six-figure Bitcoin even before the halving, which was kind of crazy, or all-time highs before the halving.
Right.
Then we had six-figure Bitcoin back in, I think it was November of 24.
Yep.
So I'm still of the mindset of 4-year cycle, but I'm also still of the mindset of Bitcoin basically just tracks the S&P 500. And I know it's starting to diverge a little bit, but it's still a risk on asset. And the thing that drives me crazy about Bitcoiners, we're supposed to be these independent thinkers, these, smart, sharp people that think outside the box. And I see people, this was months ago when Larry Fink, I think, was at Davos or whatever, saying like, oh, Bitcoin is a risk off asset. And now everyone's like, oh, Bitcoin's a risk off asset. I'm like, you realize that his whole business model is assets under management. It's to get you to buy his thing, BlackRock's Bitcoin offering ETF. And when you say Bitcoin is a risk off asset, maybe 10, 20, 30 years from now, historically, we've been right. We've been correct.
Right.
But to say it's a risk off asset, come on, dude. Like, I still am not in that camp. Like, number has gone up, but we've also gone from 64 grand to 16 grand. Okay. And I think that's going to happen again, except the peaks are going to be, we're going to go from 215 grand to, 115. Right. So I still think it's going to be number go up, technology up and to the right. But to call it a risk off asset is still premature. And I think a lot of people are taking victory laps too early, in my humble opinion.
If you like that clip, then you definitely got to check out this next spicy clip. I think you're really going to like it. Come on, check it out. But if you want the full version, the full interview, then check that out over here. Come on, do it. I'll see you in there.